Welcome to Past Life, Present Power with Derek Jameson. In this podcast, we are going to be meeting with people who have had past life regressions, talking to them about their experiences, why they wanted a past life regression, or to even understand what their own past lives are. What past lives are, what future lives are, present, concurrent lives. We're going to understand a little bit more of the quantum realm and quantum field as we go through discussions about what past lives are and how we can tap into that, really giving us an understanding of our universe and the multiverse and the quantum field, or as some people know it, consciousness. We are able to tap into the unified field and be able to pull information from it. We are all part of the same big bowl of cereal, I like to call it. And we are all part of it together. We might seem like individual pieces of cereal, but guess what? We are all in the same boat. So in this series, we're going to be talking about our individual experiences and how they reflect the collective experience. When we're going through something challenging in our life, we actually are going through that not only for ourselves, but for everyone connected to us. We can look at that as the family or friends within our lives. The things that we tend to go through are things that are going to heal our ancestry or those past lives that we've lived. There is memory within our energetic field and within our physical DNA that carries these imprints from past lives or ancestral ties that we are here to heal or to carry out. It is part of the big picture of why we wanted to even incarnate on this planet. Now, some of you may be not able to understand the idea of incarnation, and we will go through that as well as we discuss these beautiful topics with the people who experience their own past lives through a regression with me. We will look at some of the challenges that they faced. We will look at what they learned about themselves and how they're using the information to be able to help all others. It's going to be a very exciting series, as all of the regressions that I have had with people have been very profound and beautiful. Some regressions that take people into their past lives are very emotional, and some are silly and fun. It's not meant to be a scary experience. It's actually meant for you to understand your soul even greater. By understanding who you are and seeing it from a different perspective and seeing it from a higher version of yourself, you are able to step back and see exactly why you've had experiences in your life and why you continue certain cycles and patterns. And guess what? How to break them. Not only does a past life help you, a past life connection help you to understand those things, but you are also going to be activating who you are in this present moment. Because as the title suggests, past life, present power, this really is the most important life that you are living now. This is the one you're focused on. This is the one in which we are listening to this discussion right here and right now. So this is where you're meant to be. As difficult as it can seem sometimes, this is exactly where you are meant to be. Now, by peering into a past life or concurrent life or parallel life, future life, in the quantum realm, you begin to understand these things a little bit deeper. You'll understand that it's all just other lives that you live. But when you can tap into these other lives that you live, you can be able to pull that energy into this present life that you're living now. It's not about detaching from your present life and trying to tune into a past life and live in that space to disconnect from your human experience that you're having now, but it's meant so that you can go and take that information, that experience, and pull it into this one. There recently is a movie that came out called Everything Everywhere All at Once. And this explains these concepts very well. So if you've seen it, you know what I'm talking about. It really focuses on the multiverse, and you see how she can tap into other lifetimes that she is concurrently experiencing. The same thing goes for a past life connection. You can tap in from this present moment to those versions of you that still exist in other realms, realities, past lives, and even these ancestral connections that you're connected to, and you can pull that energy into this life. We are meant to be able to access the information of everything that we have ever experienced before this moment to be able to help us within this journey. But some people have become so disconnected from their spiritual bodies for a multitude of reasons: fear, resistance, rejection, misunderstanding. A lot of things have allowed us to disconnect from our spiritual bodies, the way our programming has brought us up in this world. But if you can take a notice to the world around us and how things are changing, you will see that that spiritual body is reconnecting. If you watch our media, you can see stuff more about magic, and you can see things tuning into more about energy and how we can heal. You see our extraterrestrial movies being portrayed in things like Arrival, where it shows the extraterrestrial consciousness coming to the planet, integrating itself slowly so that it can be able to make connection and help us to further and not destroy our world, and in turn us helping them. It's all part of a reflection of who we are. Everything within is also without. So everything we experience within our physical reality is also what is going on within us. It is all a mirror reflection, every last bit of it. Even the most challenging experiences we have are simply reflecting things to us that we are meant to trigger, to express, to surface up, and to work with and heal. We are all here on this healing planet. And even though many are not awake to it, we are all here to heal. We are here to be on a healing journey with each other, holding each other's hand along the way. That is what it is meant as we move through challenging experiences, but mostly as we move through love. Because the challenging experiences we have never surmount to the amount of love that we experience. It's just that sometimes those challenging experiences create such a dramatic imprint that our memory latches on to that, and it becomes the dominant energy. We put our focus upon it, so it grows. But guess what? We can put our focus upon the beautiful things that we're experiencing. We can literally put ourselves in the way of beautiful things every day if we choose to, so that we can be constantly reminded that beauty is all around us. And as we do that, we are able to move and to heal. We all came as individual souls, individual droplets into this planet so that we could be able to co-create together to create healing. This is not something that is just from this earth, but it is galactic in nature. There are stories and wars and timelines beyond what we can actually perceive from a human level, where the energy is just the same. And even though some of those timelines and stories can be complete, wars and things like that, the energy can still exist if not healed, and thus will surface up again to heal. And Earth was always going to be a healing planet, a place of integration, where everything could come together. But the only way it can truly come together is when things surface to the top and allow us to see clearly what it is we need to work with. Sometimes that is mistaken as the world is going wrong and everything is going down in flames. When in fact, if it is surfacing because it says, I am ready to be healed. So as you move through an experience that brings healing into your life, energy work, past life regressions, self-transformation, self-help, self-love, you are actually doing it for everyone in the Akashic field. You are doing it for everyone on the planet. You're doing it for everything on the planet. You're helping the universe evolve itself into higher and higher states of consciousness. And as you step deeper into love, step deeper into healing, you become a portal of love for all to follow. So when looking at a past life regression or looking into a past life that you have, being able to give yourself the gift of going deeper into your own consciousness, into your own Akashic records, the records of your soul's history throughout time and space, you are able to tap into the lives which vibrate with you now. That is how you receive the information. You are vibrating with all these other life experiences that you have, and you will be shown those lives as they pertain to you in this current life now. What is it that you need to see? What is it that needs to be activated within you? What is it that needs to get your attention and to say, hey, I'm ready now. It's time. If we don't begin to ask those questions, we will never know. And all we have to do is ask to receive. So what does your past life hold for you? How can you tap into your own past lives and see where your soul has been and also where your soul is going? This will be the magic of our stories as we unfold them, with incredible leaders, beautiful healers, people within the entertainment industry, business owners, everyone from A to Z. We are going to be interviewing those people in which I have worked with, and we will see from their firsthand experience who they are and what they experienced about their own soul's history. So thank you for joining me within this experience. I'm very excited. I'm very excited to see where it goes, what unfolds, because as we recount the experiences that these souls have had, we will learn new insights. We will download new information and create a portal of light that will come through in every transmission. So get ready. It's going to be a blast. I am very excited. Now, part of this very first episode, I wanted to talk about my own experience, and I wanted the introduction to this series to open up with a little bit of understanding of what we're doing and what we're going to be talking about. But I also wanted to tell you about how I even got into the field of past life regressions and past life information and taking people into their past lives. So I wanted to start there so you can hear my story of what even led me to doing this work. And that story starts when I was very young. I had always been attracted to ancient Egyptian things, so hieroglyphs and pyramids and everything that dealt with ancient Egypt, as many of you have sensed yourself. However, I thought I was just making it up because it was pretty or it was on TV or it was in a book. And I just felt like, well, everyone else feels this way. But not everyone does feel that way. Those people connected to the ancient Egyptian timeline will feel that way. It's also what connects us together because we are all here at this time and we tune into that ancient timeline because we're activating it right here and right now. But as a kid, you don't really know that. And as I was very young and tuning into this kind of information, I remember when Stargate, the movie Stargate came out with James Spader, and I went and saw it at what is called the Century Theaters in San Jose, California. Those of you that know San Jose, it was actually right next to the Winchester Mystery House. So there was a theater that was literally right next to the Winchester Mystery House, and that is where the theater was that I saw Stargate. And the moment that Stargate began, it shows this introduction of the Pharaoh's mask. And as it does it, it's very slow and had this beautiful opening score. And I got what I now know is an activation, but my whole body lit up. All my cells tingled, everything lit up within me. And it was like my soul remembered that timeline. And as the movie unfolded, I just felt such a connection to it. Like I knew what those things felt like. I knew what all of that energy was like. That's what it looked like in the places that I used to be. I just knew it was deep within me. So I would recreate that in my home and in my bedroom. I would create like pyramids and put down sheets, like sand colored sheets to make it look like I was walking on the sand. And I loved it, but I was made fun of when I was younger, and because I was made fun of, I wouldn't really talk about that stuff because the last thing I need is everyone to make fun of me more, knowing that stuff. So I kind of kept it quiet. But what was fascinating about my connection with ancient Egypt was that I lived in a town where the Rosicrucian Museum was, the ancient Egyptian museum, where the ancient mystical order of the Rosicrucians had put in this one ancient Egyptian museum in my town. So I got to go almost every week to the ancient Egyptian museum and be around the energy and the artifacts of ancient Egypt before I could go there. So as a kid, I had that blessing. I was able to go. So you think it's no chance that I lived in San Jose and I was able to literally take one bus. One bus would take me there. I think not. And then also what was crazy was the Fry's Electronics that actually was in San Jose also was all ancient Egyptian, and it looked like a tomb and you could walk up. And I was like, oh my God, like the stars aligned for me to be able to feel the energy of those past lifetimes because I had such a strong connection to it. And as I was growing up, I still had encounters that took place that helped me tune into past lives and things like that. But at the time, I didn't realize it. So even at when I was 18 years old, I had I had watched a movie, and on my 18th birthday. So on my 18th birthday, I made a bunch of people go to see AI. And it was a bunch of people over to the theme park, and I was a performer at a theme park. And we all went to go see AI. And during the movie, I hear in my head at the end, this is you. This is who you will become. They are you, and you are them. And I was 18 years old, sitting with everybody. And it's like, I got this full out download, not knowing what it was, that we are extraterrestrials and this is us in the future. We are going to become this. But in a sense, it's like, we don't become it, we already are it when we think from a quantum sense. And those of you that don't understand what I'm talking about, quantum realm, quantum mechanics, quantum physics dealing with the unified field consciousness, I will be explaining that more as we go along. So fret not. I will be explaining how consciousness is the quantum field, the unified field, and how things interact with each other from a more scientific standpoint so we can understand how this all works. I want this to be a thing that you can really absorb a lot of information from. So I got these downloads that we were connected to it, but at the same time, the movies made me fear extraterrestrial stuff so much. Think about fire in the sky. Absolutely, oh my God, petrified me. And I had such fear around extraterrestrial stuff. Now, there's a lot of stories interspersed in there, but I'm not going to get into them. There's a lot of dreams that I had along the way, not fearful dreams, but just dreams where there was extraterrestrial consciousness. So it was like I always knew that there was a part of me connected to extraterrestrial timelines, but we didn't have a lot of information about that. So how would I even know, right? So skipping on from that, you can see that I had this connection from when I was really young. There was a metaphysical bookstore at the end of my street. I was able to be around some of the spiritual books, talk to the spiritual lady that worked there. I learned about shadow work and what it was like to face the shadow as a kid in middle school. So you can see that all of this information has really been ingrained within me for a very long time. It just took me a while to fully accept it, to get over my ego and be worried and not be worried about being judged, because I was worried about being judged for so long. And when I worked through that and I let that go, I was able to step into my own power. Now I help other people do the same. So there came a time, though, when I fully woke up to what my connections are. I was actually playing music, and I was with my friend Kalina in Dallas, and I had a connection with all this ancient Greek architecture and art in the Dallas Museum, and I got activated once again. And in that moment, everything came rushing in, and I heard the message, this is what you're supposed to be doing. It's time for you to get back into it. So I put on my big boy pants, felt the fear, did it anyway, and stepped into love and realized that there was nothing to be afraid of. And during that time, I was guided by like spiritual energy, or not by a person, just by thought and feeling and spiritual connection, that it was time to connect to my past lives and see what that was about. And so the very first thing I did was do an Akashic Records meditation. And I went to a group meditation, and, I was fearful. I was like, what if I don't see anything? Am I going to make it up? Who knows? But I went to the meditation, and I sat in the corner of this room, and everybody sat around in a circle. And the leader went and talked us through it and turned on our right brains, taught us how to activate and visualize. And then from there, what we saw was up to us. And this particular teacher, I forget what his name was, but he actually teaches and practices the same method of past life regression that I do, which is quantum healing hypnosis technique. And it gets people to a really deep state, gets them really deep to get out some of that deep information and create healing and all this magical, amazing stuff. So he did the same thing. So that's kind of how I heard about it, right? because there's different methods. So I do the past life meditation. I end up, it's like he says to go through this like hall, this doorway. I go through this doorway, and all of a sudden I see these imprints of my hands, and I look at them, and it's like really dainty, pretty fingers. And I was like, oh, well, skinny, pretty fingers. And then I saw this white flowing like dress looking thing that I was wearing. And I was like, oh my God, I'm a girl. But that's all I saw was like the dress and the fingers. And it was like very light. It was like almost like dots of light and pencil sketches, like very, very faint, but I can see it clearly in my head right now. And at first, when you're going through it, you're like, am I making this up? I don't know if this is real. Is it just because I have a connection to ancient Egyptian stuff? Like, am I faking this? You go through that process because you don't want to lie and you don't want to fake it. You want to make sure that you are telling the truth, right? You don't want to lie to yourself or anybody else. So, and we're brought up to be skeptical, not trust these things or believe that these are actually what we're actually seeing. So we have to go through a process of going through the experience and then trusting it. That's the hard part, not judging or analyzing. But that's what I always tell people: don't judge, don't analyze, just let it be what it is, and then it'll unfold. So we go through the experience, and he takes us, into a memory, and I see myself by the Nile River, and I see myself doing a blessing on a child. And then I see myself at the temple, and these are like weird imprints that are going on in my head. I see myself at the temple with the royals, and I'm next to them as if I was like a guide, or if I was just at all the popular events with the pharaoh and the queen and everyone involved with that. And I was beautiful. I was a beautiful lady. And so it progresses, and the guy's like, let's see you at your house. And my house looked like a rickety old shack. It had an old wooden table. It was thick. The wooden table was like this big. And I'm sitting there, and right at the end, I see my grandfather in that life. He was an old man, bald head, eating rice or something out of a bowl. And I didn't see my parents. I didn't see anybody else besides this old man. And that old man ended up actually being my grandmother on the Japanese side in this lifetime, and which is wild because on that side, my grandmother has her own story. She was in the internment camps. She graduated in internment camps. She's had a lot of experiences. And it's interesting that she had those experiences, and then also tends to be the one ancestor that comes through in visions or dreams. So it's very interesting how that dynamic plays out. And these are very important aspects that do tend to step forward for us. So that's who I saw. But I was like, why do I live in this rickety old house? I was up in the palace house. I was like living bug. And then I saw myself living in this house. And so that's how I actually knew that this must be real, because why would I be like, I'm at the palaces and then all of a sudden see a rickety old shacky looking thing next to the palace, right? And so the whole thing goes on. I realized that I was a seer, a psychic for the royals, that I helped them in that time. And that's just one of the timelines. This was from the very first past life connection that I ever saw. And it was very light. It wasn't even a regression. So when I actually did a past life regression, it was a lot deeper than this. But I got to see who I was, and I got to see who I am, and I got to see the connections that I actually have in this lifetime and what I am meant to do. And that's what that showed me. It gave me trust and faith within myself that what direction I was taking was exactly the right direction. That this is not from this lifetime alone, but that in many lifetimes, I have been a leader or guide in this way, in the psychic realm, or understanding consciousness and having Akashic wisdom and being able to bring that through. And so this was just the breach of my understanding. It was just the doorway opening. After that, I started connecting with my channeling group, and I learned how to channel, and my higher guide explained that my first incarnation was Atlantean. And then unfolding that, I've come across so many people that I've worked with in the Atlantean timeline in this lifetime. And they're here, and we're working together again to heal those timelines when things fell, so that we don't create the same outcomes again, that we infuse our technologies and our advancements with love and the right energy so that we can evolve together in a beautiful and profound way. So I come across these people, and it's funny because that past life that I told you about as the ancient Egyptian seer, I then, due to the app Clubhouse, met a lot of people from other timelines. One of those people is the advanced Akashic Records reader, T.N. Siren. She will be interviewed on this podcast. She will be one of my guests, but she went and started telling me what I used to look like and what I did in an ancient past life timeline. She was telling me exactly what I had seen many years ago in my own meditation. And she didn't know, but she told me the exact things. So it's really crazy when you have someone confirm those things for you, and you realize that you could have trusted yourself and understand that it's right. And those things keep layering and non-stop. They keep coming in, and that's what they're meant to do, not all at once, but in layers, so that you can understand your true soul connection and integrate that power into this present time. So I allow those processes to take place. I don't rush anything anymore. I allow things to be exactly what they're meant to be, because I know that there is divine time and that it unfolds in the most divine ways. So cutting back to when I was doing my training for QHHT, quantum healing hypnosis technique, made by Dolores Cannon. I only do those past life regressions in person because that's what the agreement is. We are only allowed to do them in person. Sometimes I do group meditations, and that's a different version, but the past life regression itself, I will only do in person. And so I actually went to Hawaii, which was crazy because they held it on 11/11. And I did an in-person activation and past life regression training there. And it was so beautiful. And I had 2 other practitioners at the same time. And when I did my regression, again, I was still in that space of like, I don't know if I'm really seeing this. I started judging it. I started seeing myself in the water, and then I dived in the water, and I was like, I don't know. It's a little confusing. And then I saw myself with dark skin and white paint on me. And I saw these huts, like domed huts. And I thought I was making it up. I was like, well, that can't be Native American, because what if I don't they have other things? I was a little bit naive at the time. I will tell you that. And I like jumped off of a cliff or killed myself or something. I took myself out. And as I did some research and talked to other people, well, the Apaches actually had these domed huts, and I saw the white paint on the skin. And I was informed about how instead of being killed by people at the time, they would commit suicide and go off the cliff. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is why I have this weird vertigo thing where I can't go next to a ledge and like without my body reacting to it. My body reacts to it. I would love to go onto a ledge and see out. If I look down, my body literally has a reaction to it. It is insane. I can't, my mind wants, I want to go. My body reacts. My body remembers this stuff. So, and your body does too. It remembers these past life traumas, which is why it's important that we also look at those things, understand them, and we eradicate and heal the fear that's associated with it, so that we can move on and so that we can ascend and not be anchored to the 3D world. And then I carried on, and I got to see myself as a beautiful woman in the 1950s. She was so, and in the regression, I was deep at this point, so I kept saying, I'm so fancy. Listen, I don't say that. I just kept saying, I'm so fancy. I'm so fancy. I had a beautiful husband. I had a kid who seemed very depressed. I saw us walking in a small town, very small town. It felt like it was Southern California. It turns out to be the actual town that I moved here to, and I didn't know it till I walked into a store, saw the little horse that I saw my kid riding on in this vision, to the T, to the design and everything in this little shop. Because where I live, it's an old town, and they kept all of the old buildings from the 40s, 50s, and 60s. So it's got these old energies to it. And it has some of the old things from that time still here in the town. And so I realized that everything came full circle to activate that. But man, I just kept saying, I'm fancy, I'm beautiful, I'm fancy, I'm fancy. I don't mind it. I was a beautiful woman in a lot of in a lot of lives, and I gladly accept that. So as you can see, these past lives and energies layer in over time. They allow us to see and understand things that we're meant to understand. I didn't understand a lot of challenges until later on in my life. Even doing past life regressions, the download will come at random times and be like, this is why you experience this with this person. And it'll all click. And I mean, I went through situations with people that lasted many years, and I couldn't fully understand why I kept giving my power away to them. And then one day it all flowed in, and it was like, this is why it's connected to this lifetime. But now you're going to clear it. You're actually going to heal those things, which is what brought me back to Egypt again in 2019. I was in Egypt on 9/11. That 9/11, yes, I was actually at a temple on the Nile River when it happened. So not by chance. And then I was also back there. Oh, I just got a download. They just said I went to, or you went to Egypt the first time for a multitude of reasons, and it was opening a portal to all these other timelines that it was connected to that created, oh, I'm just getting way down my body with this. They say that timeline of you going there was actually a trigger point for all these other timelines that it was connected to. So when I went and it triggered that event, I was doing something energetic by being there that would actually heal all the other timelines it was connected to. And that it was going to set off a series of events that would allow that dark energy to surface so that we can be able to work with it and heal it. I had to be there to witness what it was like in that space with those people and to be able to take the information back. That's so interesting. Which is why I had to go back in 2019 to almost tie up those loose ends. I had to go back in 2019 as I entered into a new version of myself to be able to tie up some of the energy that I had already transcended. And it was very clear when I went back to the Temple of Sobek, which is where I was at on 9/11. I went there in 2019 in July for my birthday. And it was there that I felt the completion. I felt the reintegration take place. Wow. So you see, my point is, it comes in layers, it comes in moments, and you're never going to fully understand, but it will show itself when it's time. And your past lives are always going to provide you the information that are going to help you. And so many people are saying not to tap into past lives because going back into that world can awaken things and things you don't need to. But guess what? When you're doing past life work, it's going to show you what you need to see. And the things are going to surface that are meant for you to integrate them. And some of the traumas and things that we're experiencing aren't from this lifetime. They are anchored in those past lifetimes. So the moment that you're able to see it, rather than feeling like you're a victim to the experience in this lifetime right now, the moment you're able to see that this is attached to something else, you begin to heal it. You begin to change. You begin to reintegrate that energy and take your power back. So to each their own. To each their own. And you come from a person that, yes, I read tarot cards when I was a teenager. Yes, I did those things. But guess what? I never got my tarot cards read when I was a kid. I never wanted to know my future. I never wanted to see how things turn out because I love the adventure of it all. The pain, the pleasure, the unknown. It is so powerful and magnificent if we allow it to be. But isn't it fun that to be in this present moment and to say, by being present and loving my life at this moment for whatever it is, I can tap back into who I was and pull that power into this lifetime. Nothing like it. So here we are today with this new series. And we are going to hear from some of the most beautiful people I have ever met that have trusted me with their lives, with their past lives, with their hearts. It has been both emotional and exceptionally incredible and heavy and light and everything in between. And it's meant to be just that. We could hear from experiences where people were channeling angels Some people were channeling darker energies. Some people were just getting activated. Some of our people were famous writers in the past. Some of our people were famous kings and queens. It is all across the board. But I will tell you one thing that I've learned from doing this work is that even when you think you are worth nothing in this moment, in another realm and reality in which you exist, you are worth everything and then some. It is all I have ever seen, is that you are powerful beyond belief. And tapping into your other lives and past lives give you a glimpse into that power so that you may pull it into this one, so that you can connect with your past life and pull it into your present power. Thank you so much for this first episode. I am so excited to see where this goes. And maybe one day I will be doing a past life regression with you and we can hear from you. Thank you so much, and I will see you soon. This is Derek Jameson, and I love you all.